Let's talk discipline, baby. How to build discipline. I am to say this to begin with. I am the laziest motherfucker on the planet. Like I am extremely lazy. I don't think there's anybody more lazy than me. Okay, let's start that off. But over the last few years, I have built insane discipline, and I did three things to do so. And it's not what you're going to hear from gurus. It's not what you're, oh, be hard, right? Not that bullshit. Um, I think there's use for that. It gives you motivation. It might get you to start, and it might create some momentum. But that never served me. That never actually helped me to building real life discipline, real life focus, real life concentration, real life flow. Okay. That stuff comes into play, but there's a few steps before that that you must do to become a disciplined person. I believe discipline is not an action or a even a behavior. It's a trait. It's a trait that you have as a human being. You become a disciplined person. You don't do discipline. And a lot of people who are trying to build discipline are trying to do discipline. They're trying to force themselves to do something, and it's creating a lot of resistance. And this resistance is not helpful because then you start to hate being a disciplined person. And it creates this resistance towards being and having the quality of discipline. So there's a few things that you must do, specifically three things that you must do. These are three things that I did to become a disciplined person and have the quality of discipline coming from the most lazy motherfucker on the planet. Okay. I used to get distracted all the time. I was lazy. I hated it. Oh, I don't feel like doing it. I don't feel like doing it. And this is what you can do to actually build real life discipline. So the first thing, before you even talk about this concept and topic of discipline, you must have clarity of direction. Discipline is absolutely fucking useless if you don't know where you're going. You don't know why you're trying to become disciplined. And I see this with a lot of young guys who follow people like David Goggins, which I love his stuff. But they don't know. They're just like, oh, I want to be hard. I want to be hard. I want to be mentally tough. It's like, why? What are you trying to do? What are you actually trying to accomplish? What's the end goal behind this quote unquote discipline? This is very, very important. You must have clarity of direction. So sit down. And what I usually do is I do this every quarter. I do a 24-hour fast from everything. I don't want to be, how do I say this? I don't want to be influenced by outside influences, by people, by social media, by the world. I don't want any influence from pleasure, right? I sit for 24 hours. I do nothing but drink water and meditate and journal. Those are the only three things that I'm allowed to do for 24 hours. This is really fucking mentally difficult, but it must be done. And in itself, by the way, it builds discipline, but it must be done to get clarity of direction. When I don't eat food for 24 hours, no sex, no talking to anyone, no social media, no communication. The only three things that I'm allowed to do is sit down, drink water, journal, and meditate. You will start to get really clear in those 24 hours of who you've been, what's been holding you back, and the direction that you want to take in life. Okay, the direction you want to take in life, whether this is in your career, in your business, in your side hustle, in your professional life, personal life, whatever it is. Now, of course, there's a way that I do this. I usually do this with my clients, but bare bones, just do 24 hours, no food, no talking to anyone, just water, journal, and meditate. This in itself is going to give you a lot of clarity. It's like, okay, this is what I want my life to look like. These are my values. This is what I actually value. This is my vision. This is what I see my life actually looking like. These are my standards that I need to live by. These are people that I need to say no to. These are the boundaries I need to set with myself and other people. Those are very important things to figure out in those 24 hours. Values, vision, standards, boundaries, and also your goals, your intentions. That's the first thing, because without clarity of direction, you're just throwing discipline at the wall, just like spaghetti. You're just hoping something sticks, okay? So this gives discipline in and of itself meaning. It gives it the why. Okay. Why are we trying to become a disciplined person? This is very important. Without meaning, without that why, we're not going to be disciplined. Number 2, you need to have daily intention of discipline versus perfectionism. A lot of people are trying to be perfect with discipline. To give you a perfect example of this, a perfect example. Yesterday was one of the worst, most unproductive days I've had. Okay, I worked a total of 2 hours. A total of 2 hours. The previous 4 or 5 days before that, extremely productive. But I had a day off. I had a day where I had pushed my body to the limit. I had pushed my mind to the limit. And I had a very unproductive day. But I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, I'm an undisciplined person. I'm a piece of shit. Da, 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 da. I realized that every single day I need to wake up, every single minute, every single hour, every single day, every single week, every single month of going, my intention, now, not my action, but my intention is to be disciplined, to wake up with the thought at the forefront of my brain, to wake up with the thought that I want to be disciplined, to wake up with the thought of I want to be a disciplined person. Look at food in front of me and go, is this creating discipline? Look at the people in front of me. Is this creating discipline? Look at the events from me. Is this creating discipline? If I say yes to this, is this creating discipline? If I say no to this, is this creating discipline? Discipline has to be the intention behind everything you do and don't do. It has to be your focus. Okay. And when we talk about your brain, your reticular activating system, which is what you focus on the most, if your focus is on discipline, it's going to be a lot more likely that you're going to bring conscious will to discipline. Every single day that you wake up, you go, oh shit, at the forefront of my brain, I want to be disciplined today. What can I do to be disciplined today? Okay. That brings conscious will. And if you have conscious will behind something, you're much more likely to do it. You're not going to be perfect. This is important. Don't try to be perfect. This is not about perfectionism. This is about bringing conscious will to the concept and idea of discipline. That's 2 before we get into the actual discipline. So the first preliminary step is to have clarity of direction, meaning, and why behind the discipline. And 2, instead of trying to be perfect with discipline, have the daily intention of it. Number 3, and this was the most important step that I took to actually start to build real discipline on a day-to-day basis, which was doing something that scares you, and not just doing something that scares you on a day-to-day basis, but doing something that scares you and that you absolutely fucking hate. Okay, listen to that again. Do something that scares you on a day-to-day basis and you hate. That's important because guess what scares me? Roller coasters scare me, but I fucking love going on roller coasters because it's fun, it's exciting. So you don't necessarily want to do something that's exciting. So this is what I do upon waking every single morning. Now, there's some days, I'm going to be honest, that I've missed it. But most of the time, I'm on point. Most of the time, I am doing this. 80, 90% of the time, I do this every single morning. I have a cold plunge in my backyard. I open that thing up. The cold air of outside hits my body that I'm just literally in my underwear. My neighbors think I'm fucking crazy. I get outside. Now I've dealt with humiliation because my neighbors like have seen me a couple times do this. They're probably thinking, the fuck is this guy doing as a serial killer? So now I've dealt with humiliation, which is mentally tough. I don't want to deal with it. So boom, that's done. That's out of the way. The cold air is hitting my body. So I'm already getting a taste of how cold this cold plunge is going to be. And I don't like it. Okay. And then I look at that water. There's been times where I look at the cold plunge for 5 minutes and I'm just like, fuck, I don't want to do this. I do not want to do this. I want to go inside. It's warm. It's comfortable. It's nice. It's comfy. But then what do? I get in. I put my foot in. The moment I put both of my feet in, I'm like, wow, this is a lot fucking colder than I thought it was going to be. But guess what? I'm going to dunk myself in. I'm already, it's too late. I'm already in here. The moment I stand in here, I got to do it. I dunk my whole body in. And my initial reaction to this is important, is to get out. Again, get back into the comfort. And I make it a goal. Again, we go back to this intention, daily discipline intention. I make it a goal to push myself 10 seconds more every single time. So for example, this morning, I almost did a minute. It was about 55 seconds in the cold plunge. And every single time I'm pushing it 10, 15 seconds more. And so it's really important. Now, you're not going to be able to do this long term, okay? Because at some point when you're pushing it 10, 15 seconds more every single time, you can't go in a cold plunge for 10, 15 minutes, okay? Max you can probably do is 1 to 2 minutes. Some people do 3 minutes, depending on your body. But you want to push it every single time. See how far you can get with it. Try to push it. Now, some days you go back. Like yesterday, I did only like 40 seconds. That's okay. Push it the next day. Push it the next day. When I tell you how good you feel when you fucking come out of there, I come out of there and I feel incredible. The moment I come out, how I feel, first of all, I feel fucking alive. I feel awake. And I actually start to like it a little bit. I start to, that aversion that I felt, I start to feel pleasure towards it because you're pushing your brain to places it has never been before. And there's a good book called How the Mind Works by Steven Pinker. And he talks about how when you put the brain under certain circumstances in an environment, it has two choices: to die or survive or adapt, right? It has to adapt and survive. And so the brain's adaptability to doing things that you don't like to do and you hate is, I got to start to like this. And if I start to like this, then doing it is going to become easy and the pain is not going to be there as much anymore. And so I actually kind of look forward to my cold plunges now, even though I still hate doing it. Even though I look at it, I'm like, fuck, I don't want to get in there. I know the feeling, the benefit that I get after it is incredible and how I feel. So now this does something. It tells my brain when I do something that I don't like to do and I hate, I actually feel good for it. And so now the rest of my day, first of all, everything else in comparison to that becomes easy. So there's this contrast in my head now. There's this contrast bias where I'm like, oh, I could do this shit because I did this shit that was way, 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 way harder. This stuff is easy. It's a breeze. My mind becomes anti-fragile. Okay. It's no longer fragile. But also, I have created and rewired my brain patterns to like doing things that don't necessarily feel good and I hate, because my brain now thinks that if I do it, I feel benefits afterwards. I feel good afterwards. So that is how to become a disciplined person, the real truth behind it. Now, for you guys, it might not be doing a cold plunge every morning or a cold shower. It might be going on a walk. That might be something you fucking hate doing. Or it might be reading, or it might be sleeping on the floor one day, or it might be doing stretches that push your body to the limit, or it might be doing a workout that pushes your body to the limit, a really, really difficult workout, right? Guys like, what's his name? King Carnivore, something like that. Liver King, sorry. Guys like Liver King, they do this like barbarian workout that's absolutely ludicrous and insane. But I guarantee you, once he's done with it, he's like, the rest of the day is for the fucking taking. Everything is easy to get shit done. So 3 steps: clarity of direction, have meaning and why behind the discipline. Why are you doing this shit? Number 2, daily intention of discipline versus perfectionism. This brings conscious will to discipline. It becomes the forefront of your brain. And number 3, do something that scares you and you hate on a daily basis upon waking up to create that contrast bias and to rewire the brain to liking doing stuff that you don't like to do. Okay. If you like this, make sure to subscribe, comment down below. You know the whole deal. You know, there's the podcast version, there's the YouTube version to this. Whatever your heart desires, honestly. I would love to hear your suggestions of what you want me to talk about. I love doing these podcast style because I feel like, even though I'm talking to the camera, so it's a little crazy. I'm just having a conversation with a camera. Nobody's here. But I feel like I'm having a conversation with you guys. I feel like I'm teaching something to you guys. So if you have any suggestions of things that you want me to talk about, then just pop it in the chat, DM me, whatever. I'm pretty easy to get to. And hopefully this was helpful, and we will talk soon. Take care.